right. Just giving it a moment here for everyone to join the room. Okay. Seeing some names pop up here. Another second or so. All right, hello everyone. Thanks so much for joining today's Insights Tech Showcase. Before we kick off the session, just a reminder to leave any questions you have in that Q&A box. We'll get to those at the end of the session. In the chat box, you can say hello, let us know where you're tuning in from. Feel free to drop your LinkedIn URL if you want to connect. But I'll go ahead and hand it over to Lily from SurveyMonkey. Thanks for being here, Lily.
Perfect. Thanks, Kira. Yeah, welcome you all. I'm Lily. I'm a senior solutions engineer here at SurveyMonkey. Been here for a little over 7 years now, so a nice long while. I support our prospective and existing enterprise customers, leading platform demonstrations, sharing our market research solutions, as well as how our SurveyMonkey solution supports on the customer experience, employee experience, and other use case sides of things as well. Really looking forward to walking you all through our market research solutions today, specifically focusing on our concept testing solution. So without further ado, I will go ahead and kick off my screen share here. All right, perfect. Making sure that it's all showing. So here we are in the SurveyMonkey platform. Of course, for those of you that are familiar with SurveyMonkey, you'll notice we have a ton of different ways to get a survey up and running. So for any ad hoc market research survey needs, can always build a survey from scratch, access one of our many expert written templates, use our AI features to both paste in content or build an entire survey from scratch with a simple prompt. But we've also developed curated market research specific templatized solutions for you all to run. So as you can see here, looking at that solutions list, a ton of different pre-built solutions for you to leverage, from concept testing to feature importance or max diff, price optimization or Van Westendorp, turf analysis, etc. Likewise, you'll see some specific solutions down here for logo design testing, package testing, name or messaging claims testing. These here are all essentially slightly different versions of the main concept testing survey or template rather that we will be diving into today. So taking a look at a new concept test here, we'll go ahead and get started. The nice thing about these solutions is they will walk you through each step along the way. So here we can start uploading our concepts, and you'll notice you have a variety of options, whether it's a more text-based type of stimuli that you're wanting to add in here, a video type of media, or an image like we'll be uploading today. So I'll go ahead and grab an image here. And in this example survey, excuse me, what we're testing are 3 different concepts for a different, speaker types essentially. So we'll just do speaker 1 here as my label. And you'll see you could upload, some text and visual content, etc. And in my case, I have 3 different versions that I'm looking to test to really validate which one of these is going to be the best to actually bring to market. So here we have 2. We'll upload our last one in here as well. All right. Okay, we have our 3 different designs here. And of course, on this one, we can test up to 10 different stimuli or concepts. Now that we've uploaded our different stimulus, we can go ahead and set up the next step in our survey. So we're prompted to add our own instructions. So here we're developing a new, and I'll just put in here speaker product. And then we're prompted to select which attributes we're looking to measure these different stimuli against. Now, we have some ones that are defaulted here. Of course, we can always remove these if we prefer to remove any of these, add our own. And if I click into our add attributes here, you'll see we have a ton of pre-built options. So perhaps I want to add in, let's do, fun and innovative as well as some additional attributes that I want to measure. Of course, as we can see here, can add our own custom ones if there's anything more specific that you're looking to measure your stimuli against. Optional here to add that comparison question where, all respondents that receive this survey will then specifically be asked to choose which one out of these three is essentially, their favorite. Which product here do you like best? In addition to only specifically asking questions in terms of the attributes on a randomized one of those stimuli. So this is a nice way just to get that comparison in there. And then similarly, we can add our own questions both before and after those different concepts or stimuli. So perhaps we want to say, do you already own a portable speaker? And we'll give our options here, yes, no, and we'll save this. All right. So any additional questions that you want to ask as far as what you think will be helpful when you're looking at segmenting your data? Of course, when you're sending your survey to our audience, we will already track things like gender, household income, etc. But anything else that you will want to be able to leverage as a filter criteria to really segment your data, ask that as a question as well. Now, similarly, we have a number of benchmarks that are available in here, and we can search for one that maybe makes the most sense here. So I'm going to choose under this electronics category. Let's do personal electronics. And we'll go ahead and save here. Now we have our entire survey programmed. We can go ahead and test it out here. So I'll say, yes, I already own. And now we're seeing a randomized one of those three stimulus that we uploaded initially. And of course, we can preview those different attribute questions, etc., to really make sure that this all looks as we expect it to. And of course, can test it out with all of those three different stimulus just to make sure that they're all looking good as expected before you send this out. Now, once you have your survey ready to go, the study is ready, you've previewed it, etc. Now is where you have the options to distribute that study. If you have your own list of respondents, maybe your internal customer lists, or your own, proprietary panels that you work with, you can grab a survey link to share that survey in your own way, whether it's via your email system, an external panel, etc. However, SurveyMonkey has built-in proprietary panels that are accessible to you. So over 300 million individuals globally. And of course, we can set up some additional targeting criteria. So by country, gender, age, add in some balancing criteria as well, income. And of course, we have some additional targeting options that we can set here as well. And you'll see all those different categories in here. So if you find something that you want to target off of, can add that targeting criteria. Or if there's something more specific that isn't available in our, self-determined targeting options list, you can add your own screening criteria in here. So adding a question that allows you to disqualify respondents that maybe, don't listen to music, for example. So that you're only hearing from people that would actually be appropriate to, to provide feedback on these three different speaker concepts in my example use case here. And we can choose the number of responses that we want per product. And you'll see that as we adjust this, it also adjusts the margin of error and the confidence level. We typically want this to be around that 95% mark. And it looks like even with 230 here, we can also get to that same confidence level, which is great. Now with our panel responses, you'll see that subtotal here, and you could then check out effectively purchasing those panel responses. Now, I want to take you all through an example of one that we've already run so that we can dive a little bit into the analytics of this concept testing solution as well. So in this case, we were testing 3 different sneakers concepts. So three different options here that we can take a peek at. On our survey design, you can see our instructions, the different attributes that we'd selected. In this case, we did ask that comparison question, and we asked how many pairs of sneakers do you own, so that we can see maybe which stimuli or stimulus are most attractive to folks that have between 1 and 5 pairs of sneakers versus over 5 pairs of sneakers, right? Those sneaker enthusiasts in this case. In this case, this example survey was sent out to our panels here. We received 728 responses. You can see, our disqualification rate and our actual qualification rate, as well as some of the targeting criteria that were set. So we set it for, gender balancing according to census data, all regions, and looking at, across different incomes, etc. And most exciting here, now we can dive into the analytics. So here we're looking at the results from this study that we ran, starting out with that summary scorecard. So here we're looking at the top 2 box score across those 3 different stimuli. And if we open up our show all attributes, here we can see all of the different attributes that we measured. In this example study, right, a clear winner here, that sneaker number 2 here, coming in the highest out of, all of these different attributes. And in this case, we were measuring it against our benchmarks for casual wear and athleisure and gym and sports equipment. These concept testing solutions also produce a key drivers analysis so that you can really drill in to those, most important attributes for purchase intent, and see which of those stimuli, for example, or stimulus are performing high versus lower that you may need to tweak on your concept to achieve a higher purchase intent. And of course, it looks like in our study, all of the different respondents have between 1 and 5 sneakers. We didn't have any super sneaker enthusiasts in here. And then we can go attribute by attribute, which of those different sneakers or concepts here performed the best. So looking at our top 2 box score for overall appeal, uniqueness, meets needs, etc. Now, in addition to being able to really deep dive in here and look at those different, attribute specific scores, that key drivers analysis, we can also then filter our data. So here we can filter by any of that demographic data that came through as part of our panelist information. So if we want to, just filter by a specific age range or gender, device type, household income, etc., we can go ahead and apply those filters. So we can do, under 29 here. I guess it would be under 30 technically, but we'll let that slide for right now. And now we're just looking at that data where that filter is applied. Likewise, of course, can filter by any of the questions in your survey. So that's where including any of those questions before or after your different stimuli can be really valuable. With our market research solutions, we will have our AI-powered insights pull out the most impactful insights from your data, saving you time from having to drill in and deep dive on your own. So we're seeing one insight pulled out here. So it looks like that second concept, that snuck sneakers number 2, scored well overall, especially amongst those in that 45 to 60 age group. And here we're looking at all of our stimuli and looking at those different AI insights that our AI tool has, combed through all of our data to flag for us. So, this concept number 3 here, for example, didn't score well amongst males that are aged 30 to 44. So a really nice way to get some of that high level data out while saving you some time. And that really is our concept testing solution. So we can go ahead and open it up to questions at this point.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Joy, for showing us all of that. Yeah, we have a few minutes here for questions. So I'm seeing one here from Jonathan. How often are the norms refreshed? Is stat testing built in depending on the sample size, or are you able to download a raw file to do stat testing? And if built in, is it only overall, or if it's feasible, a sample size test by breaks?
Yeah. Great question. Yeah. So we will, you can highlight the most significant cells in there. So effectively there is stat testing that's built into the platform. You also do have the option to export all of that raw data into Excel, SPSS, or a CSV file if you're wanting to do any of your own, your own stat testing or your own analysis in your own platforms as well. Panels are refreshed on a recurring basis. So we consistently have, up-to-date panel targeting criteria, et cetera, that we handle on our end.
Wonderful. And what are the options if somebody wants more support with their concept test or other market research studies?
Yeah, great question. So what I was just showing was really the DIY option. So anyone in SurveyMonkey can always run these studies on your own, access our different panels, as we saw with, different targeting criteria, et cetera, and do all of that in a real self-serve fashion. For customers that are needing maybe more niche targeting options or more niche panels, or that do research, for more B2B type of audiences versus B2C, which our panel is mostly supports. That's where we have an offering to partner with our customer success team. They're a phenomenal resource for you. They will help you design your survey. They can do incidence rate testing for you. They will manage fielding, and they'll also do some data cleaning on your end or on your end for you effectively. If you partner with them, you also then have access to our additional panel partners. So ideal for those B2B or more niche targeting criteria, but then also just a really phenomenal option if you're looking for a little bit more support versus doing it all on your own.
Wonderful. Thank you for answering that. I'm seeing a question here from Roger. What fraud checks do you have for your sample sources? Are they proprietary to SurveyMonkey, or do you partner with sample providers like Cint, Innovate, et cetera?
Yes, great question. We have both our proprietary options. We also work with partner panels as well. And as far as data quality, et cetera, we have an entire ESOMAR 37 that you can find on our website that really outlines in a lot of detail our data quality practices. But we essentially we use a combination of respondent verification and behavioral monitoring. So we require, logins for survey entry. We have set limits in the terms of the number of surveys that an individual panelist can take in a set amount of time, and we track device metadata. And then we also have machine learning models built in that will flag things like speeding, straight lining, poor quality responses, and assign reputation scores to those panelists, suspending accounts that ultimately fall below a specific threshold. So a lot built in, but as mentioned too, with that CSM partnership, if that's helpful, they will additionally do a more manual data cleaning after all of those more automated processes are done.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for answering that. It's probably all the questions we have time for, but I really appreciate your time, Lily, and walking us through everything. For everyone who's watching, this will be available on demand as soon as we wrap up the session. There's also a big button on your session page that says Book Time with Me. That'll take you directly to a page where you can book a more individual demo with Lily if you like. So really appreciate your time, and we will see everyone in the next session.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.